and whenever it will be possible, I will answer them. The purpose of this webinar is to show you the TEP Urban platform and mainly then focus on the visualization analytics toolbox that allows you to explore the data together on the globe and in the charts and then export them. So I will share my screen so that you can follow what I'm going through. Okay, so at this point you should hopefully see my screen. Okay. One more person to join. Okay. So now I'm showing you how does the Urban TEP platform looks like when you are not registered nor signed in user. At this moment, there will be limited functionalities, but even with this limited functionalities, there is actually quite a lot of things that you can do and go through. The portal page itself offers you with some background information, scenarios, quick start, demos, tutorials, and everything else that you've been through. The most important part, though, is here in the middle, where you can see the data and product showroom. Data and product showroom, if you open it, opens the geo browser, which allows you to go through the products that were mainly produced on the platform or partially integrated into the platform via other means. The products that are at the moment available is WSF 2015. This is World Settlements Footprint, which was developed in the DLR with the help of the Google, and Thomas Esch can later tell more about it. GOOF 2012, which is the previous version that's similar to WSF, but the way the data are processed differs. So it's not really fully comparable. And the initial examples for the GOOF evolution, which should arrive sometime next year, probably this year, probably, which should show the information about the evolution of the urban settlements throughout the last 30 years. Then there is TimeScan, which is the product that's generated using the tools in the Urban TEP. It's possible, and I'm not going through it in this webinar, but it's also possible to generate it for different area or different time than it's already available. At this moment, as we will see later, there are actually 4 different time scans for different times that are generated either based on the Landsat data or Sentinel data for smaller areas. Yeah, then there is something about geotech tweets, ground surface movements that was developed by Urban Platform, by high altitude platform satellites and stuff like this, and some external data that I will show again later in a different tool. Another part of the platform is Earth observation processing services. I will just show it, but I'm not going through it very much. This is the place where it's possible to run the processes that you can integrate, but there will be another webinar focused on this. It's a bit more complex than what we want to go through now. So the last important parts are Communication Hub. I will go to that later probably, and the Visualization Analytics Center, which is the part that we want to focus now. This is how you perceive the Visualization Analytics toolbox when you come in, when you are not late. On the left, you can see the different topics that were already prepared and that were made public so that everyone can go through them and use them at least to some extent. When you click on either of them, you can see first, of course, the name, then some description that should let you know what's going on. And then in the end, the tiles that shows the different visualization inside of the toolbox itself. This can differ quite a lot. It's possible if you have a certain project that you want to have a distinct feeling to prepare it as such. As you can see, this is one of the projects that was prepared separately, and it's something that's very simple to do. So if you would like to integrate your own project and data on the platform, it's possible to make sure that it's visible, that it's coming from the project. The first 4 scopes or applications on the left are applications that are originally coming from the Puma project, which was the urban mapping platform which was developed for World Bank and which serves as the source, and actually quite a lot of the code is still used as a part of this platform actually. There are 3 scopes that are focusing on the land use and cover and its analysis. 2 of them are public. You can see city level analysis Southeast Asia. And I will open it then. So at the moment, this is the visualization analytics toolbox that's loaded. The first part is kind of a catalog where you can see what's prepared, what other people prepared for you, and also possibly prepare your own. Now we are going to the visualization analytics toolbox, the Ho Chi Minh City area in the theme of transportation with the visualization of road network. In all the most of the scopes, the window itself will look similar. On top, there will be information how to get to portal back, how to get support, some tutorials that we already prepared that are uploaded onto YouTube, and then possibility to select the place that you are interested in. If it's possible, then usually it's some theme visualizations and period that you care for. Period is something that's quite relevant for you, as most of the things that the urban exploratories and scientists are interested in change over time. It's possible to map the information in multiple periods and then compare the changes in the periods if it's relevant. Here we can see. It's possible not to just compare all the periods, but some of them I will show later where it's relevant. Tools that are on the top is, of course, layers that you probably already know from other GIS tools. Here you have some information layers that you can display one above another on the charts. If they are mapped for Boris years, you can see the changes. I believe that in this case, the status layer is different for 2000 and 2010. It's actually pretty well visible if you take a look that these are different layers. Of course, the light image as a reference in background usually can help as well for you. What is relevant there that's not really part of just displaying is the thematic layers. In most of the maps, you can configure thematic maps. Thematic maps basically means choropleths with certain attributes that you can show the indicators or attributes that are part of the current visualization. I'm now getting to the attributes and how they work. The visualization analytics toolbox works around the concept of analytical units. Usually you are interested in some areas that are delineated by some shapefile or some other mean, and you want to see indicators that are part of this shapefile and then possible subsets in it. Usually the people are working with some subset of gardens or nuts in Europe, so it's sometimes for administrative units that have some characteristics. In this case, we are on the LAU units, so it's large area, urban, and more detailed levels. In thematic maps configuration, we can see the attributes that are available for the area that we are in now. Here we can see that we have some populations available. We can see that we can take a look and use the land cover classes and roads when I'm in transportation, for example. Choroplet in this case means that when you decide to show one of the choroplets, it will show you the information of the geographical distribution of the information, the thematic in the attribute. Here you can see the 2010 choroplet on the left, on the right side, and 2000 on the left side. And again, you can see the legend that's relevant for them, and you can see that which areas are which. If you want to go into more detailed areas, usually the area tree that you can see now on the bottom left will allow you to go into more detail. So now you can see that we went into more detail, and you'll see multiple areas throughout. And you also see that the legend was updated and the charts was updated as well. So this is the main information that you can derive from the layers. To simplify working, you can either pin most of the tabs or the tools that are on top, or you can just have them as a windows somewhere so that they are not burden for you anymore. There are also some background layers that you can select for the thematic maps and stuff. We usually use Card2DB maze map, but we can also configure around 8 or 10 other background layers. This is just basic set, but it's not the all that are available. We can also see the Sentinel-2 mosaic that's from 2017. It's usually quite relevant. So this is about layers. We have some layers shown here on the map. So what we can do with the map is actually 3D. So if you want to, using the controls, you can see the information in the default digital elevation model. It uses the 30-meter one from the NASA. As in plenty of the areas, mainly in Southeast Asia, it doesn't really show much. It's possible using the controls to exaggerate the differences in the terrain. This way, even though the changes are actually quite small, you still can see what impact do they have on the urban infrastructure and where. Of course, if you are in other areas such as Ulaanbaatar, you don't really have to change that much, and still you will see quite a lot. So this is about the map itself and how it works. The areas I've also went through. Via the areas tool widget, it's also possible to select the areas that are there. When you select something, it means that it will be shown primarily in the chart. And depending on the setting in layers, you will have additional layers for selected areas and selected areas filled, which will show you the area that was selected. Okay. As for some of the charts, it's relevant not to see everything, but only see the things that you are interested in. It's possible to select only the selected ones, and then the charts will update and you will see only the areas that you are interested in. So you can select this way multiple areas using control, and then you will see later on. Yeah, now you can see the areas that you are interested in only. This is all that's in the areas tree. So in the selections, it's possible to have the selections in multiple colors. It's like, basically you are creating a selection in each of the colors. So now I have selected stuff in the red, and the red will be displayed in the charts in the red. But I can also select stuff in the green, and then I'm adding another selection. So basically doing this, I can create like categories of things that are relevant, that are similar and stuff like this. I can have up to 6 of these categories. It's relevant, for example, when in another scope you work with the functional urban areas and want to see what effect would have different selections. So this is for the functionality here. Another functionality that's quite relevant and quite often is areas filter. Areas filter allows you to select the analytical units that are relevant based on all the indicators that are available to be shown in the charts and choroplets. By default, you have all of them here. As you can see, this could be quite a lot, and usually you really don't want to select based on all of them. In settings, you have a tree where you can select only those that you are interested in. For example, as we are in transportation, here you would probably want, let's say, just the roads length type. These will be the only ones that you are interested in. All of them will be visible then. And if you want to, you can see now that it will be selected as a violet, but you can select all the 39 areas and everything will be shown in the charts, as you can see at the moment. So these are the core functionalities. Last 3 of them that I can show that are available for guest user is map tools. Map tools allows you to select in the map the areas that you are interested in, and I will clear selection so that I can show it. Select in map, and you can see that it's properly selected everywhere. just as it should be. And area info and layers info. Area info shows you the information associated with the administrative unit that you click on. And here you can see all the information that are associated with it, or again, you can select only the subset that you're interested in. And once you have it, you can export it to XLS and bring it to other tools that you have. Similar works for the areas filter. Here, once you selected something via this filter, let's select all 39 areas, you can see that you have options to export it in XLS, CSV, GeoJSON, and shapefile. Works pretty okay. You can really get the data out in plenty of ways you want. Then there is another, and that is a layers info. Layers info shows you the information about the pixel that you click on or the polygon that you click on in the layer. So now I have, as we can see, I have selected land cover status and node network roads. So when I have only layers info selected and click somewhere, it will bring me the information about the layers that are on. And in the detail of the layer, we can see if there is any information in the layer directly. So if the layer has any associated information, like in raster, you usually will get the bands, or in vector, you will get the attributes that are really associated in the way they are in the data itself. These are basically the inputs that were used in the creation of the visualization. So the last tool that we have is the snapshots and views. In snapshots, you can create map snapshots if you are interested, that you can download later on and use in the reports if you want to. You can see that it's exactly, more or less exactly how it's on the map. And very similar, if you click snapshot on the chart, it's shown there as well. This is relevant if you prepare something here and you want to share it in some report or somewhere as the static graphic. We will get back into how you share files that you prepared to somebody to play with actually. But for this, I have to be logged in, so I will have to switch then to my account to show you how it works. Okay, so now the charts. You can create multiple types of charts. There is the plus, which basically allows you to create a new chart of these types. You can create a table, which is possible to sort and use as a source for sorting the other charts as well. Of course, you already see the column chart, or I can show you the scatter chart. Let's see for some of the information. Scatter chart works with up to 3 indicators that you can display, but it can work with any amount of years that you want. So if there is any change and you hover over some area, you can see how it changed. Again, if you have selection in scatter charts, the selection is actually really important. When you are in scatter chart, then the selection allows you to have only the relevant areas and don't have plenty of things that you don't necessarily have to show. Similarly, complex chart is a polar chart. Polar chart allows you to have as many attributes as you want and show them as type of polar chart is normalized to 1, basically. So you can see how in the units, but this is only for the latest year, but how the units behave there. When you set up the charts, you can also set up some description and name. Name is also then, apart from being shown here, you can see it's also shown in the snapshots window. So here you then, and also the file is named based on this name to simplify you further work with it. Of course, here you can also provide some description that when you share it will remain, and it's possible to get to there with the info button. We will show you real usage on later on, or my colleague will explain how is using it directly. Now I'm going really just through the functionalities that are part of the data. To get there, data still needs to be prepared. There is an administrative tool that I'm not going at the moment through that basically allows you to fully upload the new data and map it as indicators and as this areas tree to allow you to go through these analytical tools. It's not difficult, but it's not absolutely straightforward. So if any of you are interested in this tool and would like to share your data, then just let me know and we will help you with it. We will also have another webinar in, I guess, a month or a month and a half, where we will be showing this administration how to do it. Anyway, already, if you are interested to show some of the data side by side for you, it's possible to just, if you have some GeoJSON, GeoTIFF, and I believe some other types, but I don't remember it by my head, I'm sorry. It's possible to just drag and drop on the map. In this case, I have the GeoTIFF of the Black Sea. And if you drag and drop, now it will process. It takes approximately 30 seconds because it's like 15 megabytes of a file. The GeoTIFF will be processed and displayed properly on the map. In this case, it's a Black Sea, so it will be a bit different area. Yeah, it's not processing. I will add as a background layer CartoDB base map so that it's obvious that it's not the Sentinel-2 data. So here you can see it was just drag and drop and it works, it's displayed. So if you have some other data that you would like to show on top of what's already there, it's possible just dragging and dropping. Not all formats are supported, but some are, and in the future we want to support even more of them. Okay, so this was technical level. There are at the moment around 12 scopes that does different things. For most of you, I guess the first 5 will be first 5 and the last 2 will be the most important and most relevant. First 5 are concentrating on the Southeast Asia, and the data for them were derived by ESA and VISA projects and World Bank projects. Usually they are focused on the urban area, built-up area, and the population in the countries or in the cities, and in the structure, consumption, and formation, which I will ask the colleague to present, of the cities. What is mostly relevant for the urban TEP produced data are the export external data layers. There are plenty of data layers that were actually produced in the scope of TEP or that were integrated from other sources so that you can see them side by side. Timescan, for example, is the timescan product that was derived for 4 different time windows, 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, if I remember properly. And here you can see them side by side and see what's changing in the areas of interest for you. All the products that we are working with here are global ones. Most of them are available for multiple years. Here on the left, you can see the products that are available and visualize them where appropriate. GUF imperviousness, you can see, is from the GUF 2012, so you can actually use it only for 2010, 2015. Filter density is very similar, even though it's relevant actually to take a look at it in other time frames, so it's there. If you want to read more about the specific products, it was on the page before. It's also in the Urban TEP information, I believe in the data products showroom, and in the near future there will be the info that will let you read more about the layer itself. In this scope, you can also see land cover, CCI, and grid population of world shown here. But this is just visualizer where you can see in multiple time series how it works, what's it like. There are no charts here because there are no analytical units. But here you can see that we don't have selected all the years, so you can have just subset selected. In the scope of the Urban tab, we derived the statistics for global administrative Unix. These are mainly in the UTEP produced statistics. This is the scope where I guess that most of you, if you will play with it, will create your own visualization. And here we provided, again, the product itself, but we also calculated statistical information such as amount of the urbanized area, amount of the population based on GPW, based on word pop, and we added on the country level some information like health expenditure, GDP, and other from the World Bank statistics and United Nations statistics. So here, mainly, if you will be trying to understand the data and what's relevant in them, you will be playing with data by exploring the charts that are available. If I go into detail of the data available here are either TEP produced statistics. TEP produced statistics, as you can see here, are urban area and non-urban area that for now are only from the GOV, so for 2012, but in the next week, it should also be for 2015 derived from WSF. I will show example in another scope that's really focused only on the urban, non-urban area and the population. Then WordPop population, which is derived from WordPop 2015, and GPW that's derived from 2015. It will be also derived then for the older years like 2010, 2000, where the data are available. The tweets are from the year 2015, 2016, and it tells you how many tweets were in each of the analytical unit or administrative area in this case. On the country level, we also have added, as I said, World Bank group information about urban population, health expenditure, and GDP, and in the United Nations statistics on material footprint per capita. So this can show you the statistical information combination between correlations between the data. What I missed technically to say is that it's not just that you can show the indicators. You can also somehow normalize and modify the way the indicators are shown. Usually, the indicators itself, like GDP and stuff, are not that interesting and relevant in the absolute numbers, but you want them either per capita or per something else, per area or whatever. That's the reason why you have here the normalization. Normalization per area is pretty straightforward. It takes the indicator and it divides it with the area of the unit. As you can see, the indicator is inhabitants, and displayed it will be inhabitants per square meter. It's possible if we are talking with area, it's possible to choose the area units that you want to normalize on. So you can have, instead of inhabitants per square meter, inhabitants per square kilometer, as you can see here. Another type of normalization is on attribute. It's another one that you really want to, usually. And attribute allows you to select one of the attribute sets that you've seen before and select one of the attributes that should be used to divide. So in this case, if we have already the population, GPW population, it makes sense. The population per urban area is one of the indicators that make further sense for some cases. This way, we will have inhabitants per square meter, because the urban area is actually in the geographical units. And again, we can get to the inhabitants per square kilometer of urban area for the administrative units. So here, I'm now showing the two information in the column chart, at least in theory. The issue is that when I have multiple years, and for some of the years data were not at all available, it won't show you any data. Now when I get to different year, the charts are shown when they are relevant, which might be a bit confusing at some point. So this is the one that I created before. It's not really that good as a column chart. It shows more as a scatter chart, I believe. Okay, so here we can see, for example, GDP per inhabitants. So these are the areas where you can play with and try to take a look. Not all of the information are available for the global level, but most of the TEP produce statistics are available in more detailed levels. So if you want to, and you are interested in certain country, for example, Vietnam, let's say, if you go to more detail, some of the information, of course, won't be available, but for example, the GP population will be calculated for the more detailed level. The same goes for the urban area, which is derived from the GOOF. Okay, I can show the scatter chart. I don't know why now. It's probably some issue on my side. One more information I forgot about the functionalities. In some of the cases, you can have not just 3D map, but also 2D map, because for some visualization, it's more relevant when you are working on the country level mainly. Next scope or application that's available is urban growth. This is the one when once the zone statistics are fully ready, the information from WSF 2015 and GOV 2012 will be side by side to show. So here you can see the visualization of the WSF on the right side and global urban footprint on the left side. Also in the charts, you can already see prepared visualization that takes as the input urban area from the GOV for 2012 and from WSF for 2015. For population, it's calculated from GPW for 2015, and there will be GPW for 2010, so that you can create the indicators such as urban area per population and stuff like this. The level of detail is GADM 5, so the most detailed level that you can have in a global administrative units is available. But this is not yet available for all countries and for all the units. This should be finished during this and next week. Then you will be able to take a look at the indicators and compare them. So these are the zonal statistics that were done the same methods for the GOV, for WSF, and for the GPU 2015 and 2010. So to some extent, they should be comparable. With the GOV and WSF, I already said that they were derived using different methods. So the comparability is a bit limited. Okay. Then there are some examples that were already prepared for very specific cases. This one was prepared for the city of Kigali in Rwanda. So if you have something like you want to present to the policymakers and let them play with it somehow, here this is a way where you can prepare the data, integrate them, and then it's possible to share a result such as this. This one is showing the change in the number of buildings between year 2009 and 2015 in the Kigali area itself. As you can see, different colors actually intensified in some of the areas. In the views, you can see that you can have some prepared views already, where you can just guide the users through, okay, so let's take a look at the comparison of the buildings, then go to the electricity consumption change, and then go further and further. So this way you can make a story. At the moment, it's still taking a relatively long time to load, but this is something that should really go down in the next month by far. So now I will move to the part where I'm logged in. I have it ready somewhere, I guess here. Now I am logged in as my own user, which means that at first I have more data here. There are some scopes that are not available for everyone. So if you are working in certain units, you can integrate your own data and make sure that they are visible only to the unit you work in. It's not necessary to provide data to everybody, of course. I will show an example of the informal settlements in Manila. It was mapped before. This was the mapping where the informal settlements were mapped and the different characteristics of those settlements were derived based on the satellite imagery. Then we integrated the data into the visualization analytics toolbox, and based on them, we allowed the users to filter the settlements that they are interested in. Of course, you can see them in the charts, but you have also areas filtered that have the settlements typology and information that you want. So you don't have to care for most of them, but just the ones that you are interested in. If you are logged in, what is the new functionality here is the share view. Share view is basically a deep linking functionality that allows you to say, okay, this is the exact state that I'm interested in the application, and I want to share it to somebody else. So if I filtered based on the hidden settlements, I selected 500 areas. I made sure that in the charts I will see only the selected. Then when I create the visualization here, this is how it will look like exactly when I create this data view. So for this moment, I'm showing, for example, 2 then settlements. I can add some description that will be shown on the default page, and I can select who will have access to it. If I select no one, I will be the only one, and the administrators, of course. I'm here under my account, which is an administrator account, so I will always see everything, but there are like two administration users, not many. It's very rare. Here you can see the users that are part of the platform. If you will be logged yourself, you will see just those that you have the permissions to, but I have permissions to everyone. The same is for the guests, for the group. There are multiple groups that you can share with. In the administration part of the tool that I'm not showing now, you can see that there is an access to it. It's possible to add the users to the group, and then you can share with the group, and everybody who is in the group will have the access to it. The specific user is guest and user. Guest means that everybody will have access to what you are creating, and user to anybody that's logged into the solution. So that's not something I'm going to do at the moment. This is not, by definition, public information, so I'm not going to share it publicly. But if I share this view, you will see that it will state that it was correctly shared. It will give you the URL that you can share with others, but they will need to log in to get into it properly, in this case. And it will be also here in the views. So if you have the access to it, you will see this as well. These views that you can see are limited based on the permissions. So if you don't have the permission access to some of them, you won't see them. As I've created it, when we go into it, you will see that it will load into the same state that I left it in. So you can see the same information in the charts, the same selection as was there before, and the same thing in the map and everything. So this is a way how you can actually create the interactive visualization that you can then give to somebody else. If the person will never be able to change your view. So once you have this URL, it will be stable. It will always be the same. What they can do is they can derive new views based on this one. So I'm here, I can play with it, create something else, something new, some other information, and then I can share it again. And then I create a new view that I can share with others. So it's possible to work together, but then it will create gradually more and more views. And at some points, it's relevant to remove the old ones, but it's possible. So now I would like to give a word to my colleague that will show you a bit more about the analytical information based on the land use, land cover that were derived using the VISAT tool, and what is good for and what areas we already have. Parts of this are not things that will be already available publicly for everyone, but for you to know what's available, and some of you will have access to some of the cities later on, definitely, as far as I remember. Okay, so Michal, could you?
Okay, I'm here. So I will share my screen. Okay, hope that will works. I don't know where's the problem. Give me a second. Jakub, do you know where's the problem that I cannot share my screen?
It seems that you are sharing the screen at the moment. Could you just go for the tab?
Okay, I didn't see it. So, okay, what I want to show you is how to use the Urban TEP and Panther for visualization of the land cover and land use data. As a beginning, there is just a short view on ArcMap that you know that the source data it's land cover land use layer that was uploaded to the Panther, and here is a result. That based on the land cover land use, in first moment I can visualize many of the level of land cover land use classes. So I can study the specific city on each level of the urbanization. And here I can show some statistics what it's inside depending on the level that I'm interested. And also, if I have more than one data for more periods, I can compare it to them and show what changed or not. Where is the difference? And give me a second. So here's a first screen that is based just only about the land cover and land use, that I can make the statistics of what it's exactly inside the city. If I have a more information, more statuses, I can compare them to each other, and I can calculate through the analytical tools that are behind. So there is just a short view what is behind the Urban TEP. I can make some statistics that I can decide which attribute I will analyze, which according which statuses I will filter it. I can calculate the land cover flows. So I can calculate what exactly changed in the city. So here for Dhaka, we can see the differences. It's take the time. We can see the differences between the two periods. It means what exactly changed. For example, if I want to study the city, it's for me very interesting to see the urban intensification. This means that which classes, which residential and urban classes were developed over the non-urban urban fabric. Unfortunately, these layers are too big, so it took the time. Then they will be loaded. Yeah, finally. So now I can visualize by the comparing two status layers what change. For me, for example, very interesting will be internal densification. That's mean what change how the urban residential fabric was changed internally. That's mean this purple color. Based on the Lankaro flow, and I can calculate through the analytic tool the consumption information. That means that which exact statuses, which exact fabric for each city was consumed. For example, for region Bada, I will show it. For region Bada, I can see how many square kilometers were consumed for this dysfunctional urban fabric, and will densified to the higher level. And also based on the statuses, I can make some other calculations. For example, if I'm interested about the development of urban green, I can just visualize the some dental indicators like the one moment, like how many how many parks were in each statistical unit, and etc. and etc. Some
Okay, so thanks for the showing of one of the scopes that are here. I will show the last one that's very custom as it's part of the platform. Okay. I will again share my screen. There is a scope or application which was built in the scope of the European project Climate Fit City that should estimate how the changes in the land use in the cities affect the urban heat island. At the moment, it has the neural models that are behind for the Prague and Ostrava. Another one for Dhaka is preparing, but it's possible to prepare for other cities if there is enough interest for it. Here, the tool will look a bit different from what we've been seeing before, as this was really custom built. Again, you can see that it's more custom with the way it looks like. So if you have a specific project where you really want it to be visible, it's possible to do it. Here we have Praha and Ostrava, and we have the scenarios. This view, it's actually possible to create a view in multiple languages. This view was created in Czech, so the things that you've seen before in the English are here in Czech. When we are sharing, you can select language. It's possible to provide other languages, it's just about translation of 3 or 4 pages of material. But if you have countries that you really need the application to look native for them, it's possible. In this case, again, we have some layers that are generated by the modeling. We have the source, which is the urban atlas, which is land use land cover layer, similar as the one that was seen in another analysis. And then we have the results, which is urban heat island and amount of heat wave days. Here we can see the legend for them. So the working with the tool is very similar. The only difference is that in this case, as it wants to give you a tool to assess the effectivity of change, land use change, you can take, you can either download or, okay, I forgot to get myself into a tool. Usually there is a plus button where you can create new scenarios, and these scenarios will generate a new UHI and new HVD that you can then compare side by side. But I won't show it now because I would have to give myself to the group to show it. Okay, so that seems to be more or less. That seems to be more or less all from my side. Do you have any question? Anyone? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, then I'm glad that you came. I hope that it was useful for you. And if you try to play with the Urban tab and you have any questions further, you can either contact me directly, and I'm responsible for the support for the TEP Urban platform. So I will do my best to answer any of your questions and help you figure out what's actually useful for you. This webinar was recorded, so after maybe some trimming a bit before and afterwards, it will be also available, so you can anytime go back to what was here and what was available. How does it work? On the YouTube, there is also a channel, Urban tab channel, that if I go back and get into any of the tools, and there is also a documentation directly in the platform itself. There is a demos and tutorials where you get the channels that's part of the Urban tab on the YouTube platform. Here is the same. There is the video help that it contains a list with all the videos where multiple tutorials with different things that can be done, and how to take a look at the certain specifics, even how to do the processing. So if you're interested in providing your own processors, there is the information how to do it. And if you are stuck, you could just write me or create a new ticket in the support system that will be then handled properly. Okay. So if there are really no questions, nobody wants to know anything. Then thank you very much, and hope that, oh, that's it.
No, Jacob, one of the things that I was thinking while you were presenting many of the tools is many of these are really dependent on additional layers, right? So on what layers are available, or, I mean, it was not clear to me to what extent these are dependent on additional layers or existing layers that you already have for
like
the whole.
Okay, the other thing that I was showing was the layers that we have here and are part of the TEP Urban platform at the moment. But you're right that some of the analytical information or analytical tools we are showing were working basically on the land use land cover data, which are not necessarily available for the whole world at the moment. Like for the Europe, there is Urban Atlas. For a bit bigger area than Europe, there is a Korean land cover. There is the land cover CCI that could be vectorized and used as a source. But not all of these are fully done and is part of the Urban TEP.
Okay, perfect. And the other question that I had is, it seemed to me that potentially you could do the same statistics aggregated at a different, if you input another polygon, you could just aggregate it at that. The reason why I'm asking is, for example, if you have a definition of a metropolitan area that the city wants to look at or something like that, that's also possible, right?
Yeah, it's possible. That's the part with the integration of the data, but in the administration, you can integrate your own polygons, for example, another city boundaries. And then there is a tool that I'm not showing here because these are public data, so we don't want anyone to integrate the data. There is a small tool that allows you to integrate the raster or vector data set that you just provide a file, and it calculates the sum and average of each bands or each attribute that's part of the vector for the given area. I'm not sure if I will find some that I actually have it, but I believe that right possibly here.
Oh, don't worry. It was more really to understand what is possible and what's not.
Yeah, so this is possible for sure. It's more about how to do it exactly, and it would take at least an hour to really go through all the possibilities. We're not really trying to overwhelm, but yeah, I can show there is. I can share again my screen because I found one. So if you can see it here, there is another tool, add layer, that takes the areas that are here. In this case, these are the functional urban areas based on the Urban Atlas definition. And you can provide the layer from the file. And it could be either GeoTIFF or shapefile. And if you click on load, it generates the statistics for the areas as well. So it directly generates the sums and averages for each band and for each attribute that's part of the shapefile. Okay. That will be then available for the charts and stuff like this.
Sorry, one final question. I'm thinking, for example, for a country where you end up building some of the statistics, will it be feasible to build an interface? Because many of the countries or the cities would not, I mean, they would probably like to use the platform as an instrument, but when reporting statistics, I'm thinking they might be interested in doing it on their own. So is there a possibility to build a link, let's say, between the Urban TEP and another web tool or
yeah, it's possible for sure.
That it's automatically, let's say, fitting information into that.
It's possible. We are going at the moment. We are working on a thing like this, for example, for the ESPON and the functional urban areas in the Europe. So we can build stuff like this. It's more than we have really to talk through to see what exactly would it be, whether it's something that's generic enough that we will just give them some connection and they will connect and it will be all, or whether it will really need to be done. But it's possible, sure. Perfect. Partially, it's done already in the urban climate resilience because this is actually talking with the processor that runs the network analysis, basically elsewhere.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all. And any other question? Okay. So then, thank you very much for your questions. I hope that it was useful for you. And if you try and run into any obstacles or need to know more, just let me know and I will try really to help you and get you through the process.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.